BCA 101, Information Systems. We're down to the last unit. These objectives, we want to be able to describe levels of management. That's what we're going to talk about today. Excuse me. Describe various levels of information. And then we build a relationship between those. What information does management need in order to make decisions? It'd be no different than you going on to Amazon, looking up how much something costs, and then checking eBay and checking other locations. You're taking information, you're the level of management, and you're trying to make a decision. How does technology help us manage information? That's been huge. That's why we're in an information society. How do we build information systems? How do they develop? Where do they start? We're going to talk about analysis, development, implementation, follow-up, and so forth. Then, this whole idea, when you hear somebody say they write the code, we're going to talk about programming and how programs, software, actually helps us do this. An information system takes data. This is nothing new. Data, and then we use some type of program to process it and give us some type of information. Distinguish between software that's been compiled, a compiler, and software that's interpreted, compiled on the run. Distinguish between flowcharts and pseudocode in developing a path towards a solution. We'll talk a little bit about e-commerce and expert systems at the end of the term. So, business and information systems. Levels of business management. A lot of times people will draw a pyramid, and we're going to do the same. We do this and we say we have top level management. Usually very few. These would maybe be the VPs of the company, the CEO, the CIO, and the very top level. Not a lot of people. Then it depends on the business. Some businesses, one person's everything. But then you have a certain level of what we call middle management, managers. They typically are responsible to the level above, and they work with first-line supervisors. First-line supervisors in most businesses are the people in charge of the day-in and day-out operations, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Up here, we're worried about strategy, tactics, and day-in and day-out operations. That makes sense? Long-term strategy, tactics on how to get that strategy in place, and the actual day-in and day-out operations. Down here, we have the workforce. Okay? The people that put it into action. So the first line supervisors are responsible, let's say, for a certain department, let's say the electronics department at Sears, and they have people that work for them that work with customers and so forth. You have a first line supervisor on a manufacturing line that works with the people on the line doing the work. To distinguish this, typically the workforce, this large group down here, they don't oversee anyone. They don't oversee anyone. Okay, and they're responsible, the first line supervisors, responsible to middle management, responsible to top management. Some organizations, when they refer to it being flat, that means they have very little hierarchy. Almost everybody's at the same level. Kind of a trend in the last 5-10 years. Alright, so that is it for today.